या देवी सर्वभूतेषु शान्तिरूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः. Divine energy which resides in all of us in the form of peaceful silence. I pay my highest regards and respect to that divine energy and start today's discussions on power of silence. It's a strange world. Here I have to explain you power of silence by breaking the silence. And speech is something, when we talk about anything, what we talk about you, about Vijay, about somebody, or about me. But whenever I want to talk, I do not talk about my inner self. Either I talk about you, and you, or I talk about me impressing you. I never say what I am, what I really am. I always try to do something like marketing me, or discussing about me, or discussing about you, or discussing about something, some problems of the world, discussing about some good business or spiritual or political leaders. Okay? On the contrary, what is silence? Silence is that I am not discussing about anyone, including myself. And then what happens? I start experiencing myself. When there are no words, when there is no language between two of us, language of silence develops. Language of love develops. And at that time, your focus shifts from problems of the world to your inner self. You start thinking about you. Some of us calls it inner engineering. We go inside of ourselves and then we start thinking about ourselves. And therefore, there are two things what you have to remember. One thing is, discussions are based on somebody else, and silence is based on you as the center. You are the hero. You are everything in the silence. So you have to decide what is more powerful, discussing about others or thinking about yourself. And most of the quarrels, when you become angry at your life partner, what you do? You start talking something. Talking something adverse, talking something good also. But when a discussion starts from your side, discussion also starts from the other side. And then these discussions becomes arguments. They become debates. And up till debate there is no problem. After some times they start becoming arguments. And then what happens? I want to prove my point and you want to prove your point. Then what happens further? You start thinking you are right, I am wrong, and I start thinking I am right and you are wrong. And then a big difficulty gets shaped in our heart and we start disliking each other. Now, this is the power of discussions. And in Sanskrit there is a slok, Satyam bruyat priyam bruyat na bruyat satyam apriyam. Speak only truth and speak something what somebody likes. And if you know a truth and you are sure that the other person is not going to like it, avoid speaking. And one beautiful thing I would like to tell you, when we have a beautiful body with 2 ears, with 2 eyes, and what is the function of eyes? To see. There is only one function of eyes, to watch, to see. What is the function of ears? To listen. But for listening, nature has provided us 2 ears. For watching, nature has provided us 2 eyes. For speaking, nature has provided us half mouth. Why half? Because mouth has 2 functions. Eating, speaking. It's not even half. It could be 1/3. Sometimes we even breathe from the mouth. Okay. So there is a purpose for it. That you have been given 2 eyes, 2 ears, but only 40% of mouth. 0.4 mouths. And therefore, at least we should make a habit in our life that whatever we listen, whatever we see, we must only speak 0.4% of what we listen. Not 0.4%. 0.4 was the whole mouth. And 2 ears are 2. So it becomes 0.2. 20% of what you hear, you see, you should speak, then your life becomes balanced. But what we try to do in most of the communications between you and me, between some other people, you don't want to listen. We don't want to listen. What we want, I always try to tell my point of view as quickly as possible. You do the same thing. You try to tell your point of view as quickly as possible. And most of the times, I have seen that when we are talking, we don't listen to what other person is saying. We just keep insisting and insisting and insisting our point. What happens as a result? We lose trust among ourselves. In the contrary, when we learn to talk in silence, what happens? Your inner self starts talking with my inner self. Words are not needed in these communication. And then what happens? You come to know what I need before my speaking. So, and that is what the purpose of communication is. That whatever I am feeling, you should be able to understand. Okay, and if you are able to understand what I am feeling without my speaking a word, you know what does it bring in our life? Trust. So, people who speak less, they are more trustworthy. And in the meeting, you must have seen, in several meetings, in several political discussions, several discussions on televisions, what happens? There are a set of people who always keeps talking, another set of people who are always silent, and they speak once or twice when they are asked to speak, and we like to listen and like to follow their views. Why? Because they are calm. Yes, because. So silence also provides you calmness. Yeah. It provides you trustworthiness. It provides you calmness. And when a lot of problems are around you, and you are just talking and doing this, doing that, and you are not trying to, and you are not able to get the solution, what my advice is, close your eyes and sit down for some times. May divine guide you towards solution. And where is the divine? Divine is present inside of you and not outside of us. And then what happens? You can utilize this divine guidance and use it for finding the answers to your problems. Then what next benefit of your silence is? You allow others to speak. When you love silence, your partner speaks for you. Your neighbor speaks for you. Your colleague speaks for you. Your disciple speaks for you. And what does that mean? That your silence empowers others. When you only always speak, nobody, okay, he will take care of himself. He is talkative, he can talk, he can listen, he can. And I think I would like to share an experience with you. I often go to some restaurants. I have never gone to a restaurant, I think, alone. I always go with somebody, 2-3 people, or maybe another person with me. And a person who goes with me, he's always worried what kind of food it will be, whether it will be nice or not, whether I will like it or not, what should I order. And then I remain always silent. They want always to ask me, you also order something? Okay, you can order for me. No, you. And then person comes to take an order and I tell him, friend, you know what would be the best cooked today? Bring that to me. And you will not believe, this man has never disappointed me. What happens? Now, person sitting with me, my colleague, my disciple, my friend, he sometimes likes the food, sometimes he doesn't, but I always like it. Because when you try to give your power to somebody, when you empower someone else, they always try to do their best for you. Okay? So, another power of silence is that it empowers others. Okay? Then let us think something different. What is another power of this thing? Usually people who are silent, they speak to the point. Okay? Because if I have to speak for an hour, I will plan something, some story, some this, some that. But if you allow me to be silent and speak whenever necessary, I will always come to the point. This is the point, and that is what is needed. One quote can tell you everything. Then, when you are silent, you get plenty of time to think about yourself, your strengths and your weaknesses. When you know your strengths and your weaknesses, any decision you want to take, you are empowered of taking decisions. And if you are empowered of taking decision, that means you hold the key to your satisfaction and success. So, another power of silence is that you hold the key to your success always. Another very interesting thing I would like to tell you, I don't know whether you will take it in a positive way or in a negative way, but silence also gives you the power of negotiations. So, now coming to the next point, I think we can try to cover it. It enhances the power of our feelings. When you are silent, you can feel others much more than when you are talking. And last but not the least, what benefit you get out of this is spirituality. Spirituality is all about silence. It is all about disconnecting through your senses and moving towards inside and identifying your higher self. And therefore, when you talk about spirituality, living in solitude is being talked about. When you live in solitude, with whom you will speak? Meditation is being talked about. Conceptualization is being talked about. And a method of communication between you and source is being talked about. And all these discussions, all these talks are not with the words. These talks happens with your feelings, with your insight, with your connections to divine. So, I think I have told you many benefits of being silent. and it's always very nice to remain in silence and not speak too much. But then now the question is, very important question is that why are we not able to keep the silence? Why are we always in a hurry to speak? It is because of several emotions. When you are angry, you will like to speak more. When you are in illusionary love, you will like to speak more and impress your partner. When you are in envious behavior, you will like to speak more. And the biggest cause why we want to speak always earlier than everybody else is fear that I may lose my chance. I may lose my chance of speaking one thing, and I may not be able to get something. You want to buy something, you want to sell something. There is a fear in you always that maybe if I'm not in time, I'm not making my presentation in time, then people will not buy my thoughts, they will not buy my concepts, they will not buy my products. So what is stopping you to be in silence is fear, is hatred about somebody, is anger, is envy, is illusionary love. And that is why spirituality talks about that the moment you get initiation into spirituality, these emotions and the senses, what are the senses? Hearing something, seeing something, you close your eyes, you are not worried and bothered about the world, you are to yourself and you are to your source. To you, to yourself and to your higher self. Then you understand what silence means to you. Look, for the same act, I tell you, you live in alone. If you cannot go inside, you will feel loneliness. You will long for someone. You will long for someone to hug you. You will long for someone to come and talk to you. You will long for someone who can walk with you. But same living alone, when you can live in silence, it becomes solitude. Act is same. But in one case, you are feeling loneliness, you are always worried, you have every moment some thoughts are running in you and you are in distress, then there is nobody even to talk to me. But when you start doing something and you start enjoying your silence, then you live in solitude. You do not feel the loneliness. You don't need a desire to talk to anyone. You just remain in silence. And when it happens, your product automatically sells. The fear of not selling goes away from you, and then what happens? Somebody comes and says, "How is this mango? Can I buy it?" And you say, "Yes, it is good, but it is 3 days old, If you want, you can still buy it, but it is 3 days old." Now this person thinks maybe he doesn't buy it once, but he will go back at his home, talk to his life partner, talk to his children, see how honest that person was. Look how honest that person was. He told me clearly, if you want to buy, you can take it. And if you don't want, please don't take it. But this is 3 days old. And that will bring trustworthiness. And he will start trusting you. Every time, if I find a person like this, I will always go to that supermarket, to that store to buy my products. Why? Because I know that he can be trusted. And this is the benefit of your keeping silence and speaking as little as possible. I hope and pray that all of us who are listening to this will start implementing 30-minute silence in their life. I'm not expecting big, but 30-minute silence in our life, we must start practicing. And when we start practicing 30 minutes of silence, believe me, you will start enjoying it. And then from 30, it is not going to be 25. It will become 35, and your life will start changing immediately. I wish and pray that you be able to implement it in your life and change your life for all the time to come. Thank you.